I was born in Hilldale, Utah, which is the Utah side of Colorado City. Mainline Mormonism is very embarrassed by their polygamous roots, really, by the beginnings of their religion. It's extremely hypocritical to rant and rave about Warren Jeffs because Joseph Smith and Brigham Young did the same things to a worse degree. They talk nostalgically about Joseph Smith and Brigham Young, but boy, that's as far as it goes. Imitating their lives? Forget it. Basically, the fundamentalists and the Mormons aren't that different. The idea of becoming a god was intoxicating. It was a power trip. We had one house, 5,000 square feet, 22 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. But that was my life growing up. I've got 2 brothers, the 3 of us are 11 days apart, 3 different moms. And so we grew up like triplets. But there's a huge lack of fathering in that community. It's epidemic, you know. When you have 72 children like Rulon Jeffs did, and you can't remember their names. My dad had 27 kids of his own, and I suffered under striving and trying to get my dad's approval. My dad went to prison in '53 because he refused to break the law of celestial marriage, which is polygamy. I went to public high school in Salt Lake, and everybody knew I was a polygamist, and it was hard because they really didn't like me. They didn't like what I stood for religiously. It was very frustrating because it's like, but you used to be like me. What's so wrong about that? You know, how is that such a big jump? You guys worship Brigham Young, and yeah, one of his great-great-grandkids is in our school, and you'd think he walked on water, but you wouldn't do what he did. You know, why are you picking on me? Yeah, the mainline Mormon church, we just kind of looked at them like those poor deceived people, you know. They got a watered-down religion. And Mary and I always had a great relationship when we were young. She was always my favorite sister. And we had a close relationship, and then she just upped and vanished. And we weren't told who she was married to, and she was tucked away in secrecy. And it was probably 3 or 4 years before we figured out where she was. Throughout my life, I would hit this wall where something didn't add up. And I'd go to my dad and I'd say, Dad, this just doesn't make sense to me. What about this and this and this? They just don't add up. And he'd say, well, son, just put it on a shelf, and when God's revealed more truth and knowledge to you, then you'll be able to understand it. And I was haunted by those things that just didn't add up. In the polygamous group where they prearranged the marriages, the girls got a week's notice that they were going to get married so they could throw a dress together or borrow one, and the guys found out the day before, and they got married. I got a phone call from Roy Johnson, the leader of the group. He says, do you know so-and-so? I said, no. I knew of her, but I didn't know her. And he says, well, I want you to go meet her this afternoon and get married tomorrow. If I say no, I'm out. Pack your bags, you're out of the community, you're out of the religion. You're ostracized because you don't rebel against the prophet. So I married that gal that I didn't really know, who I was not attracted to in any way. Even the marriage was used as a way to control me. And so after 3.5 months, almost 4 months, I told her, I said, I'm sorry, I don't love you. I tried to, I don't. You know, go home, they'll give you to somebody who will. You know, girls hear this and they, oh, that's so mean. And I'm like, no, it was desperation, it was survival. I just about got trapped in something that I don't know that I would have escaped from. I had to come to the point where I just said, oh well, I guess I'm gonna go to hell, but I gotta get out of here. It always blew me away if my brothers or sisters, when they left polygamy and they joined the Mormon church, I'm like, what are you doing? If the root's bad, the tree's bad, the branches are bad. If polygamy is wrong and that's why you left, then why are you going back to Mormonism? It just dumbfounded me. I'm like, it's the same thing, boys. You know, it's just whitewashed a little bit. It's just cleaned up, a little more socially acceptable than the fundamentalists. You know, if you want to get free, all the way. I was very hungry for the truth. So I started going to church. I was like a huge sponge, just taking in everything I could, because I had to reprogram. everything I had known was skewed, if not completely wrong. The Mormon God was very impersonal. So my God was very mundane. I mean, he was kind of a couple notches above me. You know, if our places were reversed, I'd be as good as he is, and he'd be as bad as I am. And there wasn't anything really awesome about God when he's just another man that happened to, catch some breaks and become a God. Instead of this awe-inspiring God that we have that spoke, and by the power of his word, the whole universe came into existence. And I'm like, now, there's a God I can fall on my face in front of and say, Lord, I'm not worthy. And I says, I've made a mess of my life. I'm trying to do it my own way, and I'm just bombing out every time I turn around. And I said, I need you to come and help me. I expected to be a new person. And the cool thing is the next morning, I was a new creation.